Hey folks, it's Pliskin, and today I am doing a review over my H&R Harrington and Richardson 223 44 Magnum break open rifle. I've owned this gun since September 20th of 2009, so 8 years going on 9, I believe. I have to sit down and count back, but the earliest entry for this rifle in my notes is from 9/20/09. That's the day I got it. Okay, to start out with, I'm going to be talking about the 223 barrel. Then I'm going to move to the 44 Magnum barrel. The 223 barrel on my H&R. For the 8 years I've owned this gun, it has done me good. Done me real good. It's just ate everything I've put in it. I've put brass and steel through this. Some steel. Haven't shot that much through it, but I remember we had like a 100-round box way back when. Oh my God, that's been years ago. But my dad had a box. I guess he went and bought a whole box of Wolf ammo, steel cased Wolf ammunition. And he's like, hey, you want to go to the range and spat a little bit? I was like, yeah. So we took it, and it shot every one of those brass case bullets that this 223 did. Shot every one of them. Didn't hang up on any. But with that being said, it's really just a fine rifle is all it is. It shot hundreds of rounds. I couldn't even tell you through the 223 barrel. It's grouping at 100 yards. I did a video on that a month or two back where I went out to the range with it and the M1A. I'll roll in footage of that. And it shot 4-year-old hand loads pretty well. But I will tell you where this rifle, especially for my use, the 223, where it has excelled the most is just a plinking gun. Simply because in my state, the only thing that I could really go hunting with this gun for is coyotes. Like the only thing I could legally kill in my state with this gun would be coyotes in its 223 configuration. And I have not went coyote hunting a whole hell of a lot. I've only been maybe 2-3 times. And the last time I went out, I took the M14 M1A. So, not a whole lot of practical, I say practical as in for hunting. This gun would be a good plinking rifle. It's practical in that sense, going out and just having fun, to me anyway. But in a practical hunting, like what would I actually use the rifle for type gun, its 223 barrels come up short. I mean, 223 configuration, when I go to grab a gun to go out hunting with, whether it be coyotes, when I do go coyote hunting, and it's not been that many times, or deer hunting, I usually reach for the Mauser or M1A. Well, now the M1A, but used to, it was solely the Mauser. And my 243, it can be thrown in on the list for guns I grab before I grab this for going out to hunt with. Usually this one, and especially in the last 2 or 3 years, this 223 has been a good plinking rifle to bring along with and let my friends shoot it. And the feedback from all of them has all been the same. They absolutely love the 223 configuration. They enjoy shooting it. And it is a blast to shoot. I mean, shooting pop cans with this gun, it's just beyond fun. It's a really fun thing to do. Go out and shoot a pop bottle with a 223 or a propane tank or a cardboard box. I mean, it's fun to go plinking with, and for that purpose, that use, just as a recreational rifle, having fun with, it has succeeded 100% in that factor. The type of scope I have on the rifle is a 3x10 Simmons scope, and the scope has performed very well. We sighted it in back in '09, and it hasn't lost zero from what I could tell at all. I mean, it's not the truest shooting gun that we have. I mean, our CZ452 ZKM is probably 3 times as accurate as this gun would ever hope to be. But for the most part, it's accurate, and that scope lends a hand in that accuracy for it to put rounds where they need to go. The way this rifle functions is as follows. The way this rifle functions, this is repetitive and just common knowledge to anybody who's ever owned a break open, and probably to most people who don't own a break open. But for review's sake, I'm simply going to demonstrate how you operate the rifle. First, there is a tab here on the side. You depress it, and the barrel opens up. You would put a round in the chamber, then you would close the barrel, then you would bring back the hammer, and you would pull the trigger and would cause the hammer to fall forward and hit the firing pin, thus firing the rifle. But since that's on an empty chamber, I'm not going to pull the trigger and let that fall home, because it's not good for the firing pin. So I'm going to simply ride the hammer back home. Easiest action in the world, I would imagine. Very simple. And it's just reliable. I'd probably have to say that this could withstand a lot more pressure than a Remington 700 bolt action for the bigger caliber barrels. The 223 barrel on my H&R, I'm not sure, I don't remember if I've stated this already, but it's a 24-inch barrel. And for all intents and purposes, here is 223 stacked next to 44 Magnum. I'm sure everybody is familiar with the two calibers, but that is just a comparison to show you the difference between the two barrels that the rifle has. See, I believe I got this when I was 14 years old, I believe. It was a birthday present. When my dad ordered it, it originally came with the 223 barrel. Then he had it sent back and had a 44 Magnum barrel fitted to it. So, thus the reason why it has two barrels. Like I've said, in the 8 years I've owned this, soon to be 9, the 223 barrel has did nothing but have good performance from my handling the rifle, watching my friends handle the rifle, and just shooting it whenever I go out plinking, go to the range. I've owned it for 8 years, soon to be 9, come this September 20th, 2016. And I can say that in the 223 configuration, this one is done good. I'm not speaking for all rifles, all H&R rifles. Of course, my daddy had a H&R 223. I believe it was either no, it was my grandpa. My grandpa had an H&R 223, and his couldn't run to save his life. Like the crowning on it was wrong. Like they had screwed up the crown, like it couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So. But through my experience with it, it's about like has the performance of about an AK. That's about the only thing I can compare it to in terms of function and shooting. It just eats what you feed it and shoots it, and then does it again over and over. And it has done it. Okay, I think I covered the 223 barrel to an extent enough. Mind you, it's the one I've shot the most on this rifle. The 44 Magnum barrel, however, I have shot it the least, and I have had problems with it in the past. One, it shoots a handgun caliber. Not saying that that's bad, but accuracy within 100 yards is fair, but beyond that, it's not too good. This one is legal to hunt with. I can hunt with the 44 Magnum barrel and have done it. And I have slain many deer with this barrel in the 44 Magnum configuration. I've killed dozens of deer with it. I will give it a plus for that. But the reason I am kind of finicky on this barrel and not really, and I've had issues with it, is I have had on multiple occasions where we would feed one into the rifle, put around in the chamber, pull the trigger, and it would snap. It would snap, the bullet would not fire, and you basically just have a dead round in the chamber. Well, dead, live, with the possibility of it going off and have to take it out after waiting to see if it might go off. And I've had that happen on several occasions with the 44 Magnum barrel. And for the most part at 100 yards, the accuracy out of it with hand loads is decent. I can't say it's as good as the 223 barrel for the gun, but I've killed multiple deer at 100 yards with it. So it's obviously got that going for it. The scope on it's that cheap Remington. I say Remington because I don't really think this is a Remington. Remington scope. It has the R on there. This scope came with my 243. My Remington 700 ADL 243. I just think the R's on there for a marketing gimmick. It's a 3.9 by 40 scope. It's just not a good scope. I don't like it. I didn't like it when it was on my 243, and I still don't like it now. It's in my honest opinion, I think the scope is junk. That's my opinion of it. It just has a horrible eye relief, and it's just not a good scope. That's my opinion, though. I mean, if you guys have similar scopes and they work for you, good. But it does well on this rifle barrel. This rifle here, the 44 Magnum. It's a deer killer. I'll give it that. But it's had in the past several foul ups where it would not shoot ammo. I would load one in and it would snap. It wouldn't shoot. I've never really fired factory ammo through it either. from what I can recall. I believe all we've ever ran through this is hand loads. And I'm not about to go out and buy a box of 44 Magnum ammo for it, because simply I don't really want to. 223 is much cheaper, and as you can see, I still have a lot of 223, and all the 44 Magnum brass for this is still unloaded from where we last shot it. And since we're able to hunt now with 308s, 243 on up in my state, I don't think I'll be grabbing for this year come opening morning. I think I'm going to be grabbing my M14 M1A instead, if that tells you anything. I ain't dissing the barrel. I mean, it's got me a lot of deer jerky and deer meat over the last few years. It's offed a lot of decent sized bucks, and it's helped me do that, so I give it a plus for that. But overall, I just can't really speak in terms of, I mean, functionality. It's closed, it's hit primers and not fired, and it's just as of 2016 obsolete now for my purposes. This has been my review of the H&R 223. Just kind of going over my personal experience with it, personal use. Would I recommend an H&R 223 or any H&R rifle? Yes, but they're all different. Like I said, my grandpa, he had one and it couldn't shoot worth a shit. And I don't know if that's because the barrel had a bad crown on it. Not saying that it's a bad rifle, it's just it's a hit and miss from experience, from other family relatives who have owned similar rifles from the same company, and it just, they didn't live up to the hype. But for the most part, I am happy with the 223. It's been running hard for eight years, going on 9. It's a break open AK. That's all I can say on it from its use of it. I've used it a lot, and it just keeps running. 44 Magnum barrel, it's kind of mixed, and really it's obsolete now because I can go hunting with a 308 instead of a 44 Magnum. But anyway, that's been my little review on my rifle. I really like it. It's just being phased out. So anyway, like, subscribe, dislike. See y'all in the next video.